All right, so on the path of general announcements, obviously for every class, we're nearing mastery deadline, but I want to make sure that I clarify some things for you guys. All quarter 2 grades, at least for math, are in now. They're in math. So if you go look at math and you look at math and you're not mastered, that's quarter 2. Right? Chapter 4 went on quarter 2. The chapter 4 homework went on quarter 2. So if you have stuff to take care of, you need to take care of that. Okay? I have graded everything that I had turned in as of yesterday evening. So I think Ava dropped something here this morning, so I need to grade that. But like, my math should be up to date every day. Like as we push towards the end. Sometimes in the middle of the quarter, I don't grade as fast. I get busy. But guys, like little dose of reality. Last night, I went home and I had to sledgehammer ice that was built up where my sump pump dumps out into the street. Then I had to go work at the rock wall. Then I had to leave the rock wall early to go tutor somebody, and I got home at 9:30. Then I graded papers. So there's some reality for you. Like, you just got to do what you got to do. You got to make it happen. And at the same time, a friend of mine from California is in town, and he wanted to hang out. And I was like, sorry, dude. I got work to do. So for those of you that sit here and tell me, well, I didn't have time to do it, but yet you go home and play Fortnite, malarkey. You do have time. You're just making the wrong choices. Okay? Malarkey. It's a fun word from Appalachian that just means like it's like baloney. It's like avoiding saying BS or whatever. Like malarkey just means like nonsense. Yeah.
Are we gonna finish the problems on our sheet today?
No, that was your homework. Sure you did.
Yes,
that's why you're asking me if we're gonna finish
I have
them.
it on his back.
We only didn't answer 2 of those, right? And those you were to finish either Friday in class or outside of class. That was for you to get done. Okay? All right, let's dive in. So who can remind me what we talked about yesterday and that really critical formula that I gave you? If you don't remember, look back at yesterday's notes. If you didn't bring your math binder, you don't have yesterday's notes, but Sky, you ran the class session. Is there somebody not Sky who can remind me what we talked about, what critical formula we had? Layla? Yeah.
So, like, percent blue divided by total?
Yeah, so like at the end of class yesterday, we were talking about the percent of blue in the purple paint, and we did the blue paint divided by the total. So that critical formula that you might just want to write down again, that we talked about yesterday, and I'm going to give you a new one today also, but yesterday we said percent equals part divided by whole. You might want to write this down again, and then times 100, because that shifts our decimal. Mr. Smith, check your email if you haven't forwarded you something this morning. So that's if we want to find the percent, right? If we're trying to calculate the percent. But today we're going to change these problems around a little bit. I'll capture that real quick. And instead of trying to find the percent, we're going to deal with situations. Oh, it's broken. We're going to deal with situations where we have to find the part or find the whole. Yeah, it's broken. So, sorry, fighting with my smartboard. I don't know why it just did that. That's quite awkward. It's like my Smart Ink doesn't know actually what it's supposed to be doing. Alright, we'll try this one a little bit. Or I'll just reload Smart Ink and see if that helps. Anyone want to read? We should set up why we care about this stuff. Ava, if you would start at how are sales, and you can read that whole paragraph and then we can trade it off, or you can read both paragraphs if you want.
How are sales advertised in different stores? In a clothing store, items are often marked with signs saying 20% off or 40% discount. In a grocery store, sale items are usually listed by price. For example, pasta is marked sale price 50 cents, or boxes of cereal are marked $2.33 each. In the clothing store, you are able to see how much the discount is, but the price you will pay is often not stable. On the other hand, sometimes in the grocery store, it is not possible to tell the size of the discount. It might only be a small fraction of the original price.
So pause right there for a moment. So who's ever been to a clothing store that has the sign of percentage off, but then you still don't know what you're going to pay, right? Who's been to a clothing store, and Old Navy does this bunch, I know because I used to work there, where it says like 30% off. Here's a sign to help you do your math. Have you ever seen that where it says the original price and now the new price with that discount? So because of this situation, and this pains me when I'm in the stores and it does that, or man, what kills me is 50% off. What's another way to talk about 50% off? What's going to happen to your price? Half. And they have a sign that's like, if your shirt was $22, now it's $11. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we failed as a society to teach math. But not everyone wants to do math. So a lot of times we have these different situations, right? The grocery store doesn't have a sign saying, pasta's 20% off this week. They say, pasta's on sale. Here's your price. Because people at the grocery want to know, what am I spending on my food?
And she told me that like the easy way to find like the percentage is to just move the decimal point to the left.
Now, what percentage were you trying to find? I agree with you, but why were you doing that?
Then I have to give 10% to the PTSD.
Yeah, the PTSA wanted 10%, and since 10% is a tenth, we can just move that decimal over. So, do you want to keep reading or you want to pass it off? All right. Sorry, you said pass it. Nathan, the actual dollar?
The actual dollar amount of the discount and the percentage comparing it to the whole are important pieces of information that help you decide if you are getting a good deal. Today, we will create complete information about the sale situation from information related to product.
Sweet. So, by the end of this lesson, we should be able to calculate a percent of a whole. We should be able to find the parts if we've been given percent and whole, and we should actually be able to find the whole if we've been given the percent and the part. And that's probably the hardest thing for most kids to figure out, is how to find the whole original price if we've been given like the part and the percent. But we're gonna have equations and formulas to help us with this. So this is the first problem we're gonna dive into with your team. And I forget if this one's on your worksheet or not. If you look at the back of your worksheet, no, we start on 16. So this one we're going to want to draw in our notes. So Marissa's always looking to find a great deal. I mean, aren't we all? We don't want to spend more money than we have to. So she found a sale rack where the jeans are 40% off. Which, if we really want to analyze this, we could figure out what percent is on. Right? If we know what percent is off, and we know in total, how many percent do we have in total? 100. We could figure out what percent is on. So the jeans normally cost $65. That's your normal 100%. I think I'm going to bring this in back a little bit so we can see some more. So here's what you want to work through with your team. First thing you're going to do is draw our percent bar, the entire 100%. Then we're going to divide it. What did we call this divider yesterday? Started with a P. Partition, right? We part it, we cut it in half. So we're going to partition it, and if it's 40% off, what percent is on? 60%. Then you want to work as a team to figure out what dollar amount is the discount, what dollar amount does she have to pay, and what dollar amount should we put here. Dive in. Try to work through this as a team. This will just go on your graph paper. So an easy way to get used to doing this in your graph paper, make your percent bar 10 boxes wide. Right? Because then it works well with percents. If I make my percent bar 10 boxes wide, especially. Yeah. 10's a very nice number. He always compliments me on my hair. doing anything else up here?
6.5.
Wait, what are you guys? Now, just like Jalen was saying, sometimes if we can break it down to 10% first, we can then work from the 10%. All I'm doing up here is copying what the book has, so please be doing this on your own. You do not need to be watching what I'm doing. Oh, I cheated on that one.
Okay, so it's $65 in total, so then that would be 100%. It'd be 10.5.
Let's pull this back together. I'm going to give you plenty of time on some other problems, but I want to make sure that we understand how we're setting things up and how to make this easy. So, Jalen, I'm going to come back to you. So you said if I want to find 10%, like what you owed the PTSA. So let's imagine you made, in profit, $65 at the Phoenix Fair.
I made $68.
There you go. Perfect situation. So we got to find 10% of it. You said we move the decimal. What way do I move it? To the left. So 10%, I can make like a little note somewhere. 10% in this situation is actually $6.50. Questions on how we found that? Because 10% is the same as doing 1/10 of 65, which would be 65 over 10, which is 6.5. Questions on how we got that 10%? So then, and I need to keep pushing to do better with random cards, so if you see me totally not using them, you should ask me to. Sophia, how can I then figure out 40%? Yeah, to go from 10% to 40%, we just multiply by 4. This is a proportional relationship. Break it. What's 6 times 4? 24. What's 50 cents times 4? 2. What's 24 and 2?
26.
So we get a discount of $26 coming off of the price. Now I could either subtract that. Now wait, what did you guys first fill in right over here?
$165.
Yeah, that was our $65 if we paid the whole price. Now luckily we're not. So then, if this is the price she has to pay, how much is left that she has to pay? 39. Questions on that? Jalen?
Can you explain how we got 26?
How we got 26, you're saying? So if I look at, I appreciate you asking that, by the way. If I look at going from 10% to 40%, so I have 10% is $6.50. If we want to find 40%, we're multiplying by 4. Now, the work we talked out was break it apart. Do 6 times 4, which is 24. 50 cents times 4, which is $2 more. And when I put those together, I get that $26 would be my 40%. So proportional relationship. I just broke up the multiplication. You're good. Colin, if you want to keep an eye on her class, she's just running to make a copy. Have we answered all these other questions? How much will she save? What about her estimate? What do you think she did to get her estimate of $30?
Oh, she made it 50% or like around
Yeah.
50%.
She like rounded the jeans to maybe just $60, and then she looked at like 50%. Is that safe though? No, because what does she actually have to pay here? $39. So if she goes up to the register thinking, oh, I'm going to pay $30, and then what else happens when you go to buy clothes? Tax, right? So yeah, she's going to end up paying over $40 here probably. Like the jeans cost $39, but then there's going to be tax added on.
Isn't it 8 cents for every dollar?
It depends on where you are actually. It's between 6.5 and 8.5 in Ohio. Normally, like 7.5 is pretty standard. 6.5 would be the lowest lowest tax rate you'd find like anywhere
Why
right
do
now.
people like half a cent? 'Cause, like, in
It's half a
gas-
percent, and that's because they were probably at 7, and then they wanted to bump it up a little bit more, but they wouldn't let them take it to 8%. So then it just does the math and it rounds. So all cash registers are rounding like all the time.
Or like for gas and stuff.
Oh, gas is ridiculous.
Yeah, and then it's just like.
It's got the little 9.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
saw
a gallon of gas.
I saw that at $2 the other day.
Yeah, I actually saw it at like $1.94. A gallon of gas, if we want to talk decimal place ridiculousness, let's say the price of gas is $1.94, because I saw it that cheap the other day. It's actually What's up, Isaac? You got something important to say? Well, you're turned around looking at Ava. Just making eyes. Making faces. It's all good. Gas actually has an extra decimal place on it. It's 1.949.
Because then it makes it 95.
Because really, that just makes it 1.95, but nobody thinks about that because nobody pays attention to that. And you're paying an extra penny every gallon. Now, that might not seem like much, but guys, imagine every gas station, every person, every gallon, extra pennies. Yeah, and your car holds like anywhere from 10 to 30 gallons of gas. That's a lot of money really fast. Jalen? For every what? For every $10 what? It depends on where you're at, but approximately. Now, if we talk percent though, 7% would be 7 cents on $1. So it'd be 70 cents on $10. We're gonna get to tax. Like that is part of our unit study, but like we're not there right yet. Real quick, we gotta move on.
I did the math. She's gonna be paying about $42
Where?
for the jeans.
Oh, if that tax rate. Yeah. So Ethan went ahead and computed a quick tax rate. All right, moving on. In 15, we gotta help. We gotta help Kirsten if she sees a shirt on sale for $37.50, and it normally costs $50. What is the discount on the shirt? So it is selling for $37.50 on sale. It originally cost $50. I want you and your team to try to figure out what is the discount percent. Now I will give you the hint. It's sometimes easier to figure out what percent are we paying, and then from there you can figure out the discount percent. So we're going to want to draw a diagram for this. So go ahead and set up one of those percent bars in your notes.
You want to put it
15.
or
Yeah, so we want to estimate a percentage, then we want to actually try to calculate it. So first thing you want to do with your group is just make a guess. Like what is the percent discount? 10, 15, 20, 5, 80?
$5.
$13.50.
Mr. Hudson,
Yeah.
is 10% $3.75?
Well, that'd be 10% of the sale price, but be careful, we're working on the original. So you're talking what would be a 10% discount for that situation? What's 10% of the original price? So if we take $5 off the price, that's a 10% discount. So what if we take $10 off the price?
Oh, it'd be $40.
Yeah, it'd be $40 now, but what would be the percent discount?
That's exactly how much.
Wasn't it? You just told me 10% was $5.
Yeah, and then you said we'll take away 10.
We take away $10 off the price to get down to like 40. So I took $5, $5. 20%. This
Oh, 5%.
two different 10%.
We took away 5 and then another 5.
So $10, but we keep switching between dollars and percents. So you gotta keep your brain straight. Okay, $5 is 10%. Okay, so we move the price down to $45. That's a 10% discount. Now take away another $5. That's another 10%. And what percent total discount right now? There, so we still have to take away more money and more percentage, right? But we know it's at least that much discount.
I don't like shopping. I love shopping. Oh my god.
If we try to guess a sketch of this, our 3750 is probably gonna be out here somewhere. I mean, I don't count boxes. I'm guessing. But if we just try to, scale that bar of the whole thing's 50. Now, Ava told me that she quickly figured out that 10%, right, would be $5. Because if I try to calculate 10% of 50, that's $5. So if I just bump down to $45, what percent am I at then? 90, right? Because we take away 10%. So this would be 90%. Should I still take away more?
Yep.
If I take away another $5, so this makes more sense, Ava, if we draw it out probably.
35.
What percent am I at now?
Wait, 40. Oh, you have $40, but you're at
80. And that, how many dollars now? Brandon, did you figure this out?
Oh, what?
You said a couple different dollar amounts.
I
But
said it was $40.
But then, do I have another $5 to take away?
No.
Bam.
How much money do I still have to take away? $2.50. Now, all of this seems to be getting kind of complicated.
It's getting annoying now.
It is getting annoying. I got an easier way.
Yay. I love that.
What you have right now is the part she's paying, $37.50, compared to the total that she would pay.
Oh, so we just have to subtract.
Not subtract. Divide. Now, you don't even have to divide. What does percent mean? Out of 100.
Oh, so we.
So then it would be.
Can I turn this into 100?
Yes.
Times 2. If we multiply by 2 over here, what do we get?
A big number.
75. Oh, no,
So if this is dollars compared to dollars, this is percent compared to percent.
Paying 75%.
So she's paying 75%. So it is 25% off.
We got it.
She's paying 75%. She's saving 20. Yeah. Nice. Very good. Now the other way we can do it is break it to the 10%, and then break that 10% in half again to look at the 5%. There's a lot of ways. Yeah.
Somewhere in between, let's try to have because that's an easy way.
All right, so check out your resource page now. So pull this out. We are going to spend probably about 7 or 8 minutes, you just with your team, trying to work through these. Now, I will tell you, in D, E, and F, it's very, well, it's not very open. You've got the diagram, and you're just being asked to make different statements. You're kind of trying to mimic what we did in ABC. So focus on ABC. If you have any struggles there, please stick up a hand so Mr. Smith or I can help you. Okay, so if you have any struggles in A, B, or C, stick up a hand so Mr. Smith or I can help you. Doing these as a team. So, good news. Which I bet if I poked around their website long enough, I could have found that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's talking about. Hey, Isaac, can you check it out? So it just seems in it. Hey, by Friday, we want to try to have all the books back here so I can let you guys know on Monday if it has happened yet or not. So please try by Friday to get all the books back. We're close. The rack is starting to fill up. But yeah, try to get them back here by Friday so I can let you guys. Actually, if we could try to get them back by tomorrow or Thursday, I could let you know at 4. So that'd be easier if I could announce like if we've done it or not, and if we haven't, we need to figure out where those other books are and get those in. Because you got till Wednesday, and next week we only have till Wednesday. We all need to be back by Wednesday because you guys aren't coming back to school till January. Discovery Days are Thursday, Friday. Yeah, we have this week and then 3 days next week. And that's it. Yeah, we're running through December. Did you have a question about math? No, wait. Oh, that was a different thing. So, you want to be doing this stuff here, right? Guys, I would always advise thinking about the 10%. Sorry, I can't hear you with this happening.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So let's break this down into what's 10%? Right? So what would 10% of how does 20% compare to 10%? So do you understand how we get back to $3 is 10%? Because it's our total, right? So 20 and then it goes from 10% to 20%. So why do you have 10% over 30%? I didn't understand what you said. So what I would really do right here, I put $3 on the bottom.
You can't prove I'm wrong. I must be wrong.
Let's come back together really quick on A. Nora, if we're asked to find 10%, forget about the problem for a minute. If we want to start easy and find 10%, what's 10% of 30? $3, right? Because we can move that decimal. So guys, you want to get really good at finding 10%. And probably like on the mastery that we take next week, I'm probably going to have a lot of problems that work with tens or tens and a 5. Right? It's like 35%, 65%. You can break it to the 10 first. So somewhere jot down that 10% is $3. But what I'm going to do here is make it a ratio. 10% is $3. Then the problem wants us to find 20%. If I keep my relationship proportional, Nathan, what do I have to do to go from 10% to 20%? Yeah, we multiply by 2, so the same happens on bottom, and we get $6. So this up here, please make sure you're labeling so you know if you're talking about percents or dollars. So down on the bottom, we write our percent of 20%. Please make sure you have both of those. If this is 20%, what percent is this section? 80. Go ahead and label that down here. And then guys, there are a few different ways to solve this. Please think with me for a second. If we work from 10%, how do I go to 80%? Multiply by 8. What's 3 times 8? 24. $24. So 80% of 30 is 24, and we already calculated this. $3, right? My best advice, and guys, I was teaching math in Old Navy, no joke. Because somebody would come up to me and be like, "What's the price on this now?" And I'd say, "Well, 10% of it is this much." Like, no joke. And then my manager told me to stop. And then I quit because I got a better job. So move on to B and C. My best advice is do that 10% first and just make a note of it somewhere. So your part in B, we don't know the whole amount though. So we can't take that strategy in B because I don't know what goes here yet. So, and we're not going to talk about this as a class. First, ask yourself how your percent bar is partitioned. What? Macy's. I sold fine jewelry. After Old Navy, I went to Macy's.
Did you get a lot of money?
Ah, this is working now. Yeah, actually, the commission at Macy's is great. But we'll talk about those problems when we know how to deal with percentages. I'll give you some problems from when I worked at Macy's. What? Ironically, my first year teaching, I made less than I had made at Macy's. Yes. Because I had commission at Macy's and I sold a lot. You know how I like talking to people? When you talk to people and you're like nice to them, they tend to buy more. So I sold a lot.
Yeah, Eden flew together.
You were gone yesterday, so how are you doing?
I'm not.
Okay, I was copying notes for somebody, even if we just like run into it.
Yes. If I was in
Or like
Spain,
you can copy it if you want, but like we want to make sure you get the notes. Yeah. The one up at Fortress. I mainly worked the trunk shift though. So I was small. I didn't care to wake up at 4 in the morning and come in to unload the truck. You gotta unload the truck in the store.
I'm not.
Everyone grab it. It's kind of blank. Make me nervous. Same with Ava. So our line is broken up into 4 sections. And that whole line is 100%. What is each of the sections? break it into fours. What's a fourth of 100?
In that.
So would this be 9?
Guys, you can all, well, not always, but if you're struggling and it's because you can't do the math mentally, get a calculator.
That's what I do. I'm fine. I don't get it. There are 4.
There are 2, Layla.
No.
Hey, Sky's asking a really good question. We all might want to do this. This splits right here between B and C. So C only involves these 3, or sorry, B involves these 3 bullets. C involves these 3. All right, I got a request. We have 3 minutes left, but I want to, hang on. You can't just talk over me because your hand's up. We have 3 minutes left. I want everyone to just independently try to work as far through this worksheet as you can. Tomorrow, we're going to pick it up right here, and I want to know who's confident. I might even put some candy on the line with this. Who could confidently show, can you stop? Who can confidently show their paper as an example to their peers. So with my dot camera, we can put your paper under there. So D, E, and F are a bit more open. You can create the problem. So take the last 2 or 3 minutes, just work on your own, and do not lose this worksheet. We're going to pick it up on this tomorrow. Okay?
I'll show you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, 75. 75.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm right, guys.
What are you confused about? What are you looking at? This one? This one? Okay, what are we on? Okay. So, what percent was this? So, if this is $18 to 75%, what if we cut at each of those partitions?
4.6.
So, if we look at B, I know I told you to work on your own, but Joey started asking me questions and I can't resist.
Answer the question.
Most of us, as I walked around, had 25% and 75%. The struggle is finding this. So guys, what if I cut here and here? I have 3 regions, right? 3 regions are $18. What should each region be? 6. So this should be $6, making your total 24. We're going to pick this up here tomorrow. Clip this in your binder. Hey guys, I might collect this. Just warning you, I might collect this as practice work. Because this is us practicing. So keep track of it and we're going to need to finish it. Alright, have a wonderful day, guys. Anytime you're doing math, it's practice. Even the mastery is practice. Because you're practicing the math.